I did say I'm recording. I record every single class, though the laptop camera is only facing me. It's not facing any of you, so you don't have to worry about me recording you. Though audio you say in class might get picked up, which is good because that means that people will hear questions. But I try to take like the best class, like the one that went the best of each class each week. So like of all the 3 1302s that I have each week, I'll try to take one of the first day and one of the second day, whichever ones went the best, and post those on YouTube so that y'all can go back and actually watch the classes on YouTube, or if you miss a day, just watch the lecture. I don't have an audio version of that, just the YouTube, but if you could, like, if you're driving in the car, throw the YouTube on and just have the audio playing through like your stereo or something. Do y'all have the ability to do that? I do. Sometimes I take for granted, like, what now?
You just can't lock them.
Can't lock the screen?
If you lock your phone, the video stops.
I haven't even gone for the can't you, like, it doesn't do that if you get the YouTube Red?
YouTube Red,
which
you have to pay for that.
I'm not paying for that. I can't pay for YouTube. It just doesn't feel right.
I had an iPhone 4 for a long time.
Yeah.
You can lock the screen on YouTube, exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
It wasn't jailbroken?
I don't know why. No.
I think you can do it with a jailbreak,
I
but
don't even know why, like, the lock screen is such a big deal. Like, you should just be able to lock your screen. Like Spotify.
Tell you what, man, it's just wrong not letting us lock our screens. Okay, so I'm recording. The first thing I want to do is take this sheet of paper I have here that says class email list. I'm going to start it on this side of the room. It's going to make its way to the back, then go across the room, then make its way to the front. It's like a big horseshoe. But you're going to print your name and print your email as legibly as possible. The email you would like to be reached at, not necessarily your dragon mail, but it's whatever will, if I try to contact you, you'll actually be able to see the email. And it's not something I'll have to hope you got. It's just going to make its way around the room. If you don't have an email, just put no email, but hopefully that's not the case these days. And while that's being filled out, I'm going to pass out the syllabus. You're welcome. Yes. 4. I'll tell you what, if the back of the room tables were a spot on a Monopoly board, it would be Boardwalk and Parkway. Those are always the quickest filling rows. Okay, so everybody's going to copy the syllabus now. We'll take the whole time today, go through the syllabus, go over the class. It does work differently than 1301 for those of you who have me for 1301. I mean, a lot of the things are the same, but some of the significant stuff is different. I'm going to hook it up to the projector so that you can have a digital version, like on the YouTube video, it'll be on the screen. It'd be weird just have a video of me talking about a paper the whole time with nothing to see on the screen. So let me get that pulled up real quick. Make sure that it's going to be pointed at me on the video. Yep. It's not on there yet because of that. And we're good to go. Okay, so you have a paper copy in front of you, but if you ever want to look the syllabus up and you don't have a paper copy at hand, you can log into our course on Blackboard. A couple ways to get to Blackboard. I think the easiest is just to type parisjc.blackboard.com and hit enter and you're there. You can do it a different way. You can go to Google, type PJC, go to our main website, or you can just type in our main website's address, click online internet courses, which this isn't an online course, but all the work is turned in online. So that's why you have to go here. Scroll down slightly, click log into your Blackboard course, and you're finally there. But it's so much easier, just type parisjc.blackboard.com and you're there. Log in with your student ID and password. Hopefully, if English 1302, you're all in. You've had to use Blackboard before. Is that correct? And most, you may not have to use Blackboard for 1301 at all? So you've never used Blackboard at all?
Just not for English, because I did it in credit.
Oh, okay, but you've used it for other classes once. Okay. Well, it's not too much of a learning curve, I don't think, because Blackboard's actually fairly easy to use. It's a lot easier than eCollege. Anybody's had to use that before. But you'll type in your student ID number and your 8-digit birth date. I wrote that password. That's not I'm not that old. Then you'll have your courses listed here on the side. You'll just click our course, English 1302. And you have two options here for the syllabus. One is like Microsoft Word format, and one I added this semester is PDF. Anybody can open a PDF, so phones are really good with those. So I'll go ahead and click the PDF for this syllabus, make it big enough where we can all see, and I'll try not to sit the whole time. I'll try to stand, but we are going to be going through the syllabus. Just FYI, anybody know what FYI means?
For your information.
Yeah, for your information. I just realized sometimes maybe people use abbreviations, and I don't want to have to fall into that trap that often, like when people go to the military and they come back and everything's an abbreviation. They're calling me civilian. I'm like, why am I? All of a sudden, I've known you all my life. Now I'm a civilian. Very weird. I don't want to fall into that trap where I'm using like FYI and nobody knows what it means. Okay, so for your information, I will likely go the full time every class. Is that correct? Those who had me before? Yeah. I have started doing this thing though where I've set the clock back there slightly ahead. So I'm more likely to end early on accident, like trick myself. But it's just, I always feel like there's so much to say. How can I let you go without having communicated the love and passion of English? And I feel like, like a preacher not saying all the things he was supposed to say to get you to heaven. That's how I'd feel. You're like, well, I'll let him go today, but didn't talk about Robert Frost. So just keep in mind, even today, we're going to stay the whole time. So something to plan for. Don't be like, oh, maybe today you'll let us out early. This won't happen. I mean, I would hate you to just expect it and it never happened and you'd be disappointed.
Happened one time.
One time?
Last semester.
Did I get sick?
No, it was, I don't remember. I just remember it happened one time.
Oh, interesting. I have no recollection of it. So this is spring 2018, English 1302. If you haven't had English 1301, you probably shouldn't be in here. It's something to talk to somebody about. I do have English 1301 classes too, but if you're taking the second one and never had the first, that would be problematic because the school actually won't let you do that. I'm not even sure if the grade will be valid later, so make sure you took English 1301 first. I am Mr. Nichols. That is my email address. That's the office phone that they make me put on this form. It's easy to catch me on email. It's the easiest way to contact me is email. My phone, I'm really never in my office. I rarely pick it up, and when I do have a voicemail, I don't notice. It's a tiny blinking light that I don't even see. I'm really bad on the phone. I don't like it. It makes me have minor anxiety. So just avoid the phone. Email is the best way. Our class website is on Blackboard. And then where I'm at usually is down below in the schedule portion. A lot of teachers will put when the class meets, this class, on the syllabus, but I figure that you know that because you're here. So why be redundant? So rather I put where I am at all times. That way you know if you try to contact me, like why is he not emailing me right back? Like on Monday and Wednesday, I have 9:30 to 12:15 classes. Then I have office hours from 12:15 to 3, and one more office hour on Wednesday from 3 to 4. So I'm pretty open and I'm able to get back to you on email. So let me try to email at the end. But on Tuesday, Thursday, you can see 8 to 9:15 to 9:30, 11 to 12:15. I have a quick 45 minutes for lunch. Then I'm right downstairs and doing Brit Lit at 1 o'clock. And then 2:15 to 3 are my only office hours besides the lunch portion. Then on Fridays, though, I'm here from 10:30 to 2. So you can see that if I try to email them during this time, I can't catch them or I can. So it's just something to be aware of. The required text and materials in this class, one is the same from 1301, which is the Packers Writers Reference. Yes, we did. If you didn't use it, you didn't write a research paper. Let's be honest.
Never used it.
You never wrote a research paper. You wrote a crappy research paper.
Yeah.
You're a crap research paper writer. But this thing, when I'm grading, when I'm doing MLA, I use this. Can you do online? Yes, you can. But it's just not as searchable. Like, this is a much more useful tool for MLA that I found than anything else. Additionally, if anybody's taking like another major, like no, what am I saying? Another major. Nobody's using English. But if you do like psychology or any of the sciences, this also has APA format in there. It's got it broken down pretty well as well. And Chicago Manual of Style for those who go into like history, which isn't very many. But it's all right here. I like this thing so much better than the internet. Here's our main text. This you actually probably won't be able to pass without. So whereas English 1301, it was maybe possible you could look at my lessons and then pass the some of the quizzes. This has got all the readings, and all the quizzes are just over the readings. I will rarely. I mean, I can't convey every single sentence of the story to you guys. I mean, we're reading lots of stories, poems, a drama. It's all in here. It's possible to find some of the stuff out of this book, but a lot of it's copyrighted and pretty heavily, enforced. Things like Oedipus, yeah, you can find a version of that out there because it's ancient, it's Greek, there's no copyright, but some of the stuff is modern and recent and still under copyright, so it's hard to find. Not a lot of people out there are trying to make these available either. So that's essentials, of course. Materials, keep all handouts, have a blue or black ink pen or pencil for daily work in class. Have access to a computer. Make sure you save your papers. Not saving papers is foolish. And at the end of a semester, don't delete all your old papers. You know how much space those take up? Like, I think all of your papers for your entire college career might take up as much space as one photo from Snapchat.
Dang.
Maybe. Like, it takes up no space. Like, it looks like there's a lot of things. You know, but it's like, you know, if you're trying to figure out, like, what do I put in this drawer? Do I take out these grains of salt to make room? Like, it's not worth it. It's a lot of picking up to really make no space. Now, purpose of the class, we could read through that as well as the catalog description, the core objectives. Most people are in here because it's a required course, so if you want to know exactly what the meanings behind this is, you can read all that. If not, we're learning English, argument, literature, that kind of thing. The grading, here's how it breaks down. In-class discussion participation, for those of you who have me for 1301, same as 1301, 5%. Discussion posts, that's new. But every time we read a piece of literature, we have discussion posts in the forum on Blackboard. Those are 10% of your grade. The quizzes over the readings are 10%. In English 1301, they were 5, but in here the readings are so important that the quizzes are 10%. The English 1302 lab, still there just like English 1301 lab. Those of you who had it before, the same rules apply. If you get my drift. Still 50% of your grade. Still at your own pace. But it's like just little quizzes, exercises that you do at your own leisure and make sure you have them all done by the 13th week of the semester.
As long as they're above 50, right?
I don't know what you're saying. I can't hear you. I'll have to address that later. Synthesis analysis essays, 1, 2, and 3. They're fairly easy essays. They're kind of like reader responses if you ever had to do those for like a lit class in high school. But I just ask you to like talk about the literature a little bit and connect it with yourself. Critical evaluation essay is our tougher essay. It's incredibly objective, analytical, complicated. That's our tough one. And the research paper, I mean, probably that's going to be the toughest just by having research, but I actually see people do better on the research paper usually than on the critical evaluation. We're planning the paper so that we have a better chance of doing well on it, then later you have a presentation for it, and that counts for 10%. You'll notice that each one of these synthesis analysis essays, they're each 5% apiece. The critical evaluation is 10, and the research paper is 20. So they're weighted differently because those are easier than the slightly harder ones. Then there's a handwritten final essay exam, but that's not as terrifying as it sounds. I'll explain why later. I've also broken this down into a point system, but I find that most people just get confused by this. So if you get how that works, great. If not, just stick with the percentages. Now with the assignments, the Blackboard discussion posts, Complete them, please, using the default font for Blackboard. That tends to work out the best. If you try to like type it in any other font besides the default, it doesn't quite work out. Don't copy, paste, post into the box in any other fonts. No like Comic Sans or Calibri from Microsoft Word. Just it tends to mess up formatting. Essays, research paper materials, times room, and 12-point font, 1-inch page margins, basically MLA. You can write all 3 of the census analysis essays in first person and talk about yourself, but write the critical evaluation research paper in third person. Don't talk about yourself at all. You have to submit papers through Blackboard. Do not type them into the writing box on Blackboard. Type them in like Microsoft Word or Apache OpenOffice or Google Docs, and then export to a Microsoft Word file and upload that file to Blackboard. Don't type it directly into Blackboard. Easiest way to lose your paper. You can type and type and type and type, and if you have an internet hiccup and you hit submit, it's gone. It's a huge nightmare. So it's best to just save as you go. Any questions so far?
Could you show us that book?
Which book? Yes.
Comparing Amazon to whatever they have.
Next. Academic honesty. This basically says don't cheat. Don't cheat off the internet. Don't cheat off your friends. Don't turn in something someone else has turned in before. Don't turn in something that you're reading off of someone else's essay, and you just write your own stuff. That's what it's basically broken down into. I'd much rather have something that's original and what you consider not that great than something stolen that's phenomenal, because I'm going to feel like, it makes me feel cheap. You know, like how dare you? Like you can't even write me something real. You got to go steal it from somebody else. Now attendance, you can have excused absences if you do like sports involvement or stuff on the main campus. It's very rare over here though, but you get 4 absences. Letter grade drops 1 letter for every grade past 4 or absence past 4. So you get 4 absences, fine, with no grade drops. I count you absent if you miss 15 total minutes of a class meeting. I count you late if you're like 5 minutes or so late. But I count if you're like 15 minutes late as an absence because you've missed a significant portion of the class. It's very hard to figure out what's going on if you come in that late. Absences remove students from the learning process, and success on assignments becomes less and less possible the more you're absent. So attending does increase likelihood of success. That's why it's important. But I am flexible if you have issues that come up. I can maybe work with you on them. So don't just, if something pops up and you can't make it to class for a couple weeks, just quit coming and never tell me why or what happened. I had a student one time, her boyfriend's car broke down, and they lived together, like out in the Tawakoni area. He went to go work in the opposite direction of PJC, but she came to school at PJC using her car. His car broke down, but they needed to make money, so he started taking her car to work, so she couldn't get to school. She said, Nichols, listen, and she explained the situation, and she said, I'll come back as soon as I can, but we can't fix the car till we get paid. And that's going to be at least a few weeks. And I was like, okay. So just keep up with the work online, keep up with the lessons online, and you can just start coming back when you can. And so she did that. She missed 4 weeks, so she missed 8 class days, but she kept up with the work. And when she got back, she just continued on like she'd never left, and she ended up making an A in the class. And that's definitely possible, but she had to keep me informed and tell me, hey, this is what was going on. So just make sure that you keep me informed. Don't just stop coming. I can't stand when people just drop off, and I don't know why. Speaking of dropping off, if you withdraw, we're not going to withdraw you if you stop coming. We give you an F. So if you want to withdraw from the course, you've got to do that manually. You've got to come up here, get a form, bring that form to me. And the last date to withdraw is April 12th. It's your responsibility, not ours. Email response time. If you send an email Monday through Thursday, expect a response within 24 hours. If it's Friday to Sunday, expect an answer on Monday. I have some time set aside in the afternoons generally to answer emails, like right before I leave. Sometimes I'll answer when I'm at home if I'm just sitting like on the couch and I see something pop up on my phone. I say, oh, an email. I say, oh, it seems pretty important. I tend not to respond to emails that say, Nichols, I won't be there today, because beyond you informing me, there's not really much else I can say other than, oh, thanks. So I tend not to do that very often. If you want a response back, best thing to do is make it sound like you're going to have a question, and or that something's important. If you're just saying, I won't be there, my brain doesn't tell me I need to respond. It's like last night, my wife says, wow, it's really sleeting out there. She's like, did you hear me? I'm like, yeah. You didn't say anything. You didn't ask anything. You just told me it was sleeting. It was information you gave, I took. My brain isn't planned to respond to things that are pure information. So if you want a response, make it sound from the beginning like you're going to have a question. I'm having some issues with it, and I'm like, oh, issues. This is going to involve a question. Rarely am I going to have somebody say, I'm having some issues with Blackboard. And they're going to explain what's going on so that I have something to respond to. I got confused because I saw the class email was sitting here, but it's like tomorrow's. Does that still make its way around? Yeah. I'll often sometimes respond on the weekend too to emails. I mean, it just depends. Technical difficulties. Do you have any technical difficulties with computers and you can't solve it right now? I mean, I don't know why they didn't have us put this in the syllabus, but if you have any problems with Blackboard account or getting into the library databases, you can email helpdesk, all one word, at parisjc.edu. But if you just need quick access to a computer, we have some down there in the library, down the library on this campus. And if you have your own computer, we have some basic computer requirements. Anything manufactured in the last 5 years is acceptable. And some courses may require a flash drive, webcam, not me. But I do require things like Word, PowerPoint, Excel, or the ability to turn in work in those formats, whether you're using Google Drive or Apache OpenOffice or something like that. As long as you can turn it in the Microsoft Word format. Now, disruptive behavior, this has not become an issue before. Obnoxious behavior sometimes, but never purely maliciously disruptive. If you are disruptive and it's in a negative way, I'll tell you to leave the first time. If it happens again, Officer Miller will come down and escort you out, and you won't come back. He's scary. He's got the outfit, the uniform. He's got a gun. He carries a gun openly on campus. The one guy. I forget he has a gun. Sometimes I look at it and go, "Oh my gosh, he's got a gun." It's a police officer. I don't know. Cell phones, they can be disruptive. I'm not going to restrict you from I'm not going to have a no cell phone policy thing in class. What I will tell you, it's really cruel actually what I do, because I let you use your cell phones, but I do judge you if you do. If you're on your cell phone the whole time in class, I can tell you're not paying attention, you're doing your own thing. Just over the semester, subtly and subconsciously, I'll start to kind of hate you. There's nothing I can do about it, If you go on a date with somebody, like your first date, you're I'm excited about this, they're on their phone the whole time. Depending on the person, you're probably not going to be like, could you get off your phone? Because you don't even know that person well enough yet to have that relationship where you could say, get off your phone. You'll just be like, maybe it was a Tinder thing, and they just wanted to eat out. They just wanted to come to a restaurant and get a nice meal for free from some guy. Maybe the fact that they're on the phone the whole time, the guy's getting pissed off and he's like, I'm just going to leave. She can cover the bill. And he walks out. And then she was thinking she was going to get a free meal. It's because she was on her phone the whole time. What'd you say?
I'm going with him out the door.
Where are you going? Restroom, just real quick. I got to go out the restroom and out the back door and into my car and then out of your life. But it's just one of those things where, if I can tell that you're otherwise engaged and you have no interest in what we're doing here, then it's just over time I'm going to start to, not like you. I can't help it. I'm never going to admit to myself that I might not like you. It's just going to happen. That could affect a grade. You never know. If I'm grading a paper and I'm like, is this a 70 or a 68? Maybe that phone thing, subconscious in the back of my mind, is like, 68. I'm going to go for the lower, just thinking. Laptops and tablets can be disruptive as well. like I've had a problem with, I don't have a problem with people taking notes in class. People like playing games, looking at Facebook, that sort of stuff, especially on a computer. That's really in like front of people's faces. If you're watching YouTube, the person might be really, really good student, but if there's a computer open with a YouTube video playing in front of your face, like you're sitting there, but somebody right here, like teacher right there, but over here's a YouTube video, and you're like, yeah, teacher. You can't help it. It's like, just at least I can't. Like if I'm walking through a room and a television's on, I'm like, I did something about my childhood, I guess, what my parents raised me. But so if you feel like anybody in the room is being disruptive to your ability to learn, you can email me at student@parents.ac.edu and let me know, hey, this person's not using their computer. Could you move them across the room? Even if it's like they're using it for good stuff, it still could be distracting to you. Just having a computer in front of your face, and you could either move, or I could talk to them, and if it's impossible for them to move, have them move, so that they're out of your field of vision, or multiple students, depending. But just try not to be disruptive. That's the main thing here. No food or drink. The only exception is water in a bottle. But I, every day, this would be the one rule that I break of my own. I have to have this Dr. Pepper tin in a fake Yeti with my Batman koozie and a straw, because I don't like sticky lips. But this gets me through the day. This is my caffeine. I don't drink coffee like adults do. I drink soda. You drink coffee, it's with you all day. You can't get rid of it. Coffee, the breath, the flavor. Ugh. I think I have to read these word for word, so I will. Related statements. As an open-door community college, Paris Junior College provides a comprehensive experience meeting the educational and cultural needs of all students and citizens of Paris and the service area. It is assumed that all students in this class will have received a high school diploma or a GED, therefore. Instruction will be at the high school level or above, including both difficulty and maturity. Usually, sometimes in the classroom I have students who are dual enrolled in like high school and college, and I never really know who those students are unless they tell me, or at the end of the semester when I have to input grades and I randomly find out, I have to have a numeric grade for this student I didn't know. But I will be teaching the class as though everybody does have a high school diploma there, which means everybody is 18. Because there are some, stories in this class that do cover some, and there are curse words and like actions in there that you consider like, oh my gosh, that's horrible. Sometimes some of it is actually tough to read, but it is important to the teaching of this literature. Now the ADA statement. Services for students with disabilities are coordinated by the Counseling and Advising Center at Paris campus. Services include arrangements for accommodations, counseling, and services to allow equal access to educational opportunities for students with disabilities. Students must request services by providing a letter of verification of disability, must include an interview with the Counseling and Advising Center counselor or advisor. Reasonable accommodation requests with documentation may be subject to review by the ADA committee. To provide appropriate planning and scheduling, students must submit their requests at least 2 weeks before accommodations are needed for scheduling of interpreters, available modified equipment, and large text and/or books on tape. Please allow 4 to 6 weeks. For more information, contact Counseling Advising at 903-782-0426 at the Paris campus. Students are encouraged to seek assistance in advance at the beginning of the semester in which accommodations are requested. You probably know if you've had something like that before, like if you have like dyslexia or dyscalculia or test anxiety and you've been tested for that. You could go down to the main office and they can connect you with the right people to, work on getting you accommodations here, like, longer time on quizzes, if you've got like test anxiety or some other things like that. Audio versions of the textbook, I think in some cases they can provide people with dyslexia. ADD, but if you haven't been tested for anything before, but you've always thought there's something going on because I have trouble learning or reading or stuff like that, you've never been tested, they can hook you up down there and try to get you connected with the right people anyway. So it's definitely something to check out we want to help you, we want you to succeed, no matter what. So, what to expect from this course? These are new, those of you who've had me before, but Blackboard discussion posts. If you had me for 1301, these are brand new. If you had me for 1302 before, though, it's not new. What you do is each week we have readings, literature. And with these literature readings, what you're going to do is you're going to get on Blackboard, go to the discussion post section, say a few things about the reading that you found interesting or intriguing, infuriating, amazing. Then you'll reply to 2 other people's thoughts that they found. Like, you'll have an original post that you make, and you'll have to reply to 2 people, and everybody will have to do that. And every week that's going to count 1% of that 10%, because you have 10 discussion posts. It's fairly simple. I don't know if I'll have time to show you exactly how to do it today, or if it's going to be next time, but I'll definitely show you. You have to do about 100 words for your original, or 100 words for your original post, 50 words for each replies, and to give you kind of a reference point, the synthesis analysis paragraph below. So let's see. This paragraph right here is about the length of your original post about a piece of literature each week. And the English 13.0 lab paragraph is about how long each one of your replies will have to be. So each week you'll be doing about 200 words worth of writing, but when it's separated out like that, it's really not that much. Like, it's barely anything at all. And I want to clarify this at this point, like, in case I forget to say this later. But each week when you're writing about pieces of literature, each week there's more than one piece of literature to write about. You only have to pick one. You don't have to write about all of them. Some people get confused, and they're like, 100 words on one piece of literature, 100 words on the other one, 100 words on the other one. You don't have to. That's way too much. You just one original post, 2 replies. And I actually can't grade them until you've done all 3 of those things, the original and the 2 replies. But I'll show you all more how to do that later. Blackboard quizzes are pretty straightforward. There'll be quizzes over the readings and the lessons in class. You'll just get on there and do them. Every week we have discussion posts. What happens is we have the discussion posts before we've ever talked about the literature in class. The idea is to get you all to develop your own opinions before you hear me talk, because I don't like it when I talk and all of a sudden my opinions become yours because you never really developed any. So I like you to develop some with the fellow students beforehand. Then we talk about it in class. Then at the end of each week, you do the quiz over it. So it goes discussion posts before, then we talk about it, quiz after. In-class discussion participation, I really like people to talk about the literature in the course. I don't like it just be me. So when we get to the portions of the class where we have lots of time to talk about literature, I really like people to contribute. English 13.0 labs are just like the English 13.01 labs. I think there might be 16 exercises this time instead of 19. Let me look and see if I can find. I'm going to have to go into my personal files. Let me pause. I don't know. I couldn't really find it. I'll have to look for it later. Anyways, recording back on. Okay, the synthesis analysis papers. I'll go over these in more detail when I actually assign them next time, but they're kind of like you pick a piece of literature, you prove that you're familiar with it, you explain how you responded to it, like what you found interesting, intriguing, that kind of stuff. It's almost like the discussion post, just longer. But you're also going to try to figure out why you feel what you feel about that piece of literature, looking at your own experiences from your own life. You know, like if you think you hated this character in a story, oh, I hated this character in a story because my dad always hated these types of people in real life, or something like that. You're able to trace it back to something in your upbringing that's caused you to think this way. That's what everybody kind of, your upbringing, your experiences, yes.
What's the worst count on those?
On the synthesis analysis,
Yes.
all of them will be 600 words to 800.
Okay.
But people will try to get as low as possible to get to that 600. Critical evaluation essay is a little harder. You're very objective. You take one tiny piece of the piece of literature and you try to show how this tiny little piece is incredibly important to the whole thing. So that requires you to be very creative with the connections you're making, and you can't talk about yourself at all. But I'll give you more detail on that later. The research argumentation essay, if you want to give yourself a leg up now, every piece of literature that you read, start trying to figure out what it is that the author is trying to tell us. Hi. What was your name?
Jennifer.
Jennifer Overton? Okay. Yeah, you just go ahead and take a seat. I'll give you a syllabus.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Pick any seat. I think it'd be fine. Well, as long as nobody's sitting in it. It'd be very awkward if otherwise. But with the research paper, you're going to try to connect the literature with the real world, and basically you're going to try to solve some real world problem using the literature from the class. So if you like try to keep up with what's going on in the world today throughout the course, and then maybe try to, as you're reading the literature, think, how could I relate this to something going on in the real world? Like I'll tell you that this person took this story about this minister who wore a veil on his face, the whole story, and then explain why. And all these people in the town are talking about, why did he do this? What was his sin? Why does he feel the need to do this? And at the end of the story, he says, you all think I'm the one wearing the veil, but when I'm wearing the veil, I look at all of you, and you're wearing the veil. And they're like, oh, we get it, we're hypocrites. And so he writes about how the Westboro Baptist Church people are hypocrites in the same way. Because they're the ones that, they're like, everybody needs to act godly, yet they go to funerals and they hold these God hates fag signs to protest gays being allowed in the military. I don't think that's what Jesus intended. The character in the Bible. I'm not trying to espouse anybody's religious beliefs or make you believe them. I have to speak about it that way. So, can you imagine? Jesus is like, guy's marker, he's working on the sign. It's nothing he would do. So then after, you're going to give a presentation of your research to your fellow classmates. But I'll have you plan the essay, propose the idea to me, so I'll approve it beforehand. So it's not going to be something where you're just going to launch in, write an entire essay, and have no idea whether the idea works or not. I'll let you know whether it'll work or not. Presentation's super easy, don't worry about it. Now, I know I mentioned that final handwritten essay exam earlier. It's going to be over the literature from the course. I'll pass the topic out to you class before the final, so you can start planning it. And you can bring your plan to class, like an outline, but you can't bring in a completed essay. So you have to write the essay in the room. But only the students whose essay average is below 80% will be required to come to class on final exam day, and all other students will be exempt. So if your essay average on census analysis 1, 2, and 3, the critical evaluation, and the research paper is an 80, and now I do weight those. So each of the census analysis papers is worth 5%, so it's 5%, 5%, 5%. Critical evaluation is 10%, and the research paper is 20%. So your research paper has the most significant effect on that essay average. But if that essay average is an 80% or higher, then whatever that essay average is becomes your final exam grade. You don't have to do a handwritten final. Doesn't happen at all. So shoot for that essay average. And it's not such a tough thing to shoot for either, guys, because I have revision. So what you do with revision is you write your paper. Let's say you really missed the mark. You did really bad. Like you're like, oh, he was looking for this and I gave him this instead. You get a 50. It was really off. And I tell you, here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to do this, this, and this. So you make those changes. You turn it back in. This time I read it and I go, oh man, this is a really good paper, like a 95. Well, that's your grade now, 95. Whatever your grade was before, if I read it the next time and I feel like this is the grade it should be now, that's the grade it becomes. So if you had a 20, 30, 40, 70, the next time you write it, whatever the grade is that time, that's what you get. I'm not going to give you 10 points or 20 points because you revised it. Can you imagine how disappointed that would be? It's like, oh, you get a 0 because it wasn't even like on the topic at all. Do this instead. You're like, oh, okay, so you write the paper and oh, really good, on topic. I would have given this a 90 the first time. 10 more points. Now you have a 10. Like, what? What's the motivation there? I'm trying to teach you guys, we're in America, land of the American dream. Everybody is revisable. You can change yourself, right? You can go from being the poorest of the poor, immigrant, and have later your grandson become the president of the United States of America. This can all happen. Like we can all change our lot in life and become somebody completely different. So revisions actually are the only way to get your grade up in my class because the essays are the biggest portion of your grades, so they're what I consider to be the most important. But there's one more way to get more points, and that's through achievements. The reason I have these achievements is I wanted to take behaviors that I think usually make people successful in college and make people do them. So I thought I'll tie those behaviors to extra like bonus points. But additionally, just having the word achievements, I thought maybe make people want to do them. Like when I played Minecraft on my Xbox, I spent hours finding a saddle so I could put it on a pig, take that pig to the top of a mountain, and ride him off the mountain so that I could land and have the pig sustain a significant amount of damage so that I could get an Xbox achievement for like 10 points, 10 gamer score points, which it's absurd. Why would I even do that? That's a waste of time. But I felt the need because it was this achievement. Maybe you'll feel the need too, especially since they're named after Star Wars characters. So if you want the Han achievement, you got to miss no more than 3 classes before week 14, day 1. First 14 weeks. And if that case, these are more significant grade-wise than they were last semester. In this case, I'll use only your 5 highest quiz grades out of 10. So that's incredibly useful. If you get the Fin achievement, so you submit all 5 essays on time, then I'll use only your 5 highest discussion post grades. So again, way more significant in effect than there was in 1301. If you get both of those, you get the Kylo, and I'll add 10 points to your critical evaluation essay. And then if you get the Ray, that's if you've submitted all the quizzes and discussion posts. That's pretty tough to do. Everybody forgets one once in a while, you know. So that would take some diligence. If you do that, I generally round grades that end in 9, like an 89, I'll round to a 90. But if you get the Ray achievement, then I'll round all your grades that end in 7 or 8 also. So if you get an 87, I would round that to a 90. Or a 77 to an 8. So there's all kinds of different ways to get more points in this class, if you just know how to work the system. Any questions so far? No? Let's move into course updates, communication. Had we canceled class, this would have been useful to have been a part of for the weather. If I cancel classes, I'm just going to send a mass email through Blackboard, and it's going to be your Dragon Mail. So it might be a good idea for you guys to watch this video, which is Dragon Mail setup and forwarding to personal email. It shows you how to get your Dragon Mail emails to all forward to your personal email. That way you actually get them all. A lot of people, they don't remember to open their Dragon Mail, and so you don't get really important communication from the college. But if you go and watch that video, it'll show you how to set it up to do that. Email, make sure you have an email. It's the best way to contact me. QR codes, if you know how to use them, use them. If you don't, you're not missing out on much. It just makes life a little bit easier. I just don't have time to cover it. Contacting me, I've covered this a lot, but best way to contact me is email. And here's my helpful hint for life when it comes to writing an email is anytime you email, not just me, future employers, other professors, people in your life, they don't work like texts. You know, they need to be structured. So always include your name, some specifically worded concern. Don't email me something like the letter R, we doing anything today, I have work, with like no name, no nothing. Because then I got to start this process of who is this? And you tell me who it is. They say, what class are you in? Like this class, I don't have my roster right next to me at home on the couch. And I'm like, what do you need to know? Like, did we do anything today? Which is an insulting question. I mean, have you ever been to a class where like the teacher was like, well guys, let's just sit for like 45 minutes, you know? Like, it's never happened. Well, I mean, if you weren't taught history by a coach, you know. But even in those cases, you watch Friday Night Lights, Remember the Titans, right? There was never a day we did nothing, so it's a very condescending question. Try to say something like, hey, Nichols, this is John Smith. I'm in your English 1302 class, 11 o'clock Tuesday, Thursday. Is that a question about the discussion post? I'm having trouble posting, and I'm not sure exactly what's going wrong. Every time I hit submit, my whole post just disappears. I have it copy-pasted so you can see that I've done it, but I wanted to make sure that you saw that I've done it before it. See, that's a good specifically worded concern. I'm like, oh, okay. The guy says, Nichols, post what? And I'm like, huh? What do you mean? Post what? What's that? And he's trying to tell me, like, it's like trying to talk to a dog. Burf, burf, what? What do you want? Burf. Oh, it was a squirrel. Okay. Now, the calendar of classes, I'm going to look at it here because it's color-coded. But you have a paper copy that's in black and white. I really think that the color coding is essential to doing really well. So if you get that PDF copy, or if you can find a way to highlight your paper copy where the colors kind of sync up like here, or if you know somebody with access to a color printer where you could print a version in color, or if you just want to get on Blackboard every time you look at it. But the color coding, I think, is very essential to doing well. And I got to use the cursor a lot, so I'm going to sit down for a minute. So, of course, we had no class on MLK Day, but every week you see here, I break it down by week and day. So this is week 1, day 1, and if you want to know what date that is, you just know that we're Tuesday, Thursday classes, so this range of dates right here is always 4 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So this week we are January 16th and January 18th. So today you can see we're reviewing the course and syllabus, completing info sheets, and signing the contract. Next time I'm talking about the first literature stuff, and I'm assigning the first the first essay, which is the census analysis essay. But every week in green we'll have readings that we have to do. That's where you need to. I did it green, yellow, red. You go on green before you get to the yellow, and then before you get to the red. Okay. So every week you do the readings. Then after you've read, you'll do a discussion post over the reading. Then after we've done the discussion post online, we'll discuss it in class. Then after we've had all the time to discuss it online and in class, that's when you'll go do the quiz over it. So you see, we do have a quiz this weekend over the syllabus. Quizzes are always in red. But it's not over any literature. Every quiz past this will be over literature. This one's over the syllabus. So green is all the readings we have that you have to do. Blue are the ones that they're on there, but they're optional. Oh, wait. Oh, no. They're not. I was like, those aren't optional. You have to read those. It's different this semester than the 1301. But it just says the blue, do not do any discussion posts or papers over the works in blue. You can do them over the ones in green. So you could write an essay about Rose for Emily or an essay about Killings by Andre Debus. But I just don't want people writing an essay about the plot section of the book. You know? Like, I was really riveted by the way he talked about exposition. Like, that wouldn't make any sense. So only the actual pieces of literature you write about. So you'll read the readings, write about the literature, then you'll do the quiz a week after you've discussed it. And then so every week you're doing a discussion post, then talking about it in class, and then the quiz afterwards. It sounds complicated at first, but it gets actually pretty easy to do over like by the third week. I think you've got it down. I've never had people really have many problems with it past like the first week. But so you see I'm assigning this first paper. Those are always in purple when I assign assignments or have them due. Those of you, I think last semester we tried to do like a group project type deal. No group project this semester. Yes?
On the analysis
Yeah.
paper they're fixing to give us,
Uh-huh.
can you give us a topic? Or do we pick the topic?
You basically, it's very, very open. You pick basically everything you're doing.
All right.
The only requirements I have of you, and I'll cover this, next time when I assign the assignment, but you will pick a literary reading. It can be any of the ones on the syllabus in green, but for this first census analysis, it has to be over a short story. The second one has to be over Oedipus, and the third one has to be over a poem. But you say what it was you found intriguing or interesting, and then why it is that you found that intriguing or interesting by relating it to some experience you've had in your life. So I'm assigning those essays next time. The first one will be due week 3, day 1, and then I'll assign the next essay, the critical evaluation. It will be due week 5, day 2. Then you'll have the next census analysis is due on week 7, day 2. Week 8, day 2, I'll assign the research paper. Then we'll have spring break. We're going to have our first grade conference right after spring break. Then we move into poetry. Oh, and I forgot to mention, right before spring break, we do a little bit of poetry, but we did, in week 5, we do Oedipus, the King. It's a play. We'll all get up here and act out the parts of the play. I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that. This is not 8th grade. Or lazy high school teacher. You'll propose your idea for the research to me in week 10. I know this is weird, but like between the time you're proposing the research paper and the time that it's due, you have to submit the synthesis analysis paper 3 over the poetry, but it's the only place I can fit it. So I'm sorry about that. But then after week 12, we're basically done. We have one more reading, one more discussion post, one more quiz. But for essay-wise, there's no more to do. So we get like kind of the last 4 weeks, we're mostly coasting. We have the lab assignments are due in week 13. We have one more grade conference in the revisions in week 14. And then we have research presentations, and probably many people won't be coming for the final exam week, but our exam will be on Tuesday, May 8th at 11 a.m. if you happen to have to come. So you can see that it works a lot of it's the same this semester, like in terms of like how many essays and the general weighting of the essays and revisions and things, if you've had me before for 1301. New stuff is that the readings are incredibly essential. It's the whole basis for the class, and we have discussion posts and quizzes directly related to those things. I will let you know that the green readings are all required and will all appear on the quizzes, but you only have to write about one each week. And I think I already said that, but you could spend your whole week writing about Rose Frimley. Or killings. You don't have to make sure that you do a post about Rose Frimley and a post about killings. You don't have to do that. Is there any questions about this before I move on?
You have to rip this last sheet off.
Oh yeah, I'll get to that in a second. If no more questions, then yes, go to that last sheet. And what I'll have you do is we'll answer all those questions. The little box down below that talks about paperless choice declaration, I would like to know your preference, but they've told me that I have to do it all digital. I won't be giving you paper copies of anything except this syllabus. But let me just ask you all the little quiz questions here. When are discussion posts to be completed? The Sunday before, same day, or Sunday after? Yeah, you said Sunday before, so. Sunday before we talk about readings in class. And when the quiz is completed, Sunday before?
Sunday after.
Sunday after, yeah. If you revise the assignment, how many can you earn points-wise? 10, 20, or all of them? All of them, C. The research argumentation paper, this is the one trick question, directly affects 20, 25, or 30% of the class grade?
20%.
30. Because the presentation and the planning account for 10%, but are related to the research paper assignment, so that research paper directly affects not just the 20 that it is, but 30% of your class grade. Then you'll just print your name where it says Mr. Nichols I, and then print your name. Then you'll sign where it says sign, you'll date it. You'll pass that toward the center by ripping it off the back of your syllabus and passing it toward the center of the room. I am going to hand you all, while you're signing those things, info sheet, which I also want. Oh, I don't know if I grabbed this. Okay. So I'm going to take 2, that's a 2, 4,
L.
Three, and 2. All right, so this you're going to fill out for the rest of the time. And when it asks about job, that means the job you have right now. Major is really what I want to tell about what the career that you want to have. Hobbies, interests, favorite places. 3 life-changing events. You may be so long you haven't had many. Achievements, same deal. 5-year goals. Hopefully you have one. Family members, tell me whatever you're comfortable with. And yes, you do have to do it again if you've done this with me before, because people's answers change, and I always think that's kind of interesting to go back and see what changed. It's one of your discussion participation grades, anyways. Things you like to display. How you describe your writing, that means your ability to put words together, not your handwriting. You may not know much about the world, but still try to answer the question on the back. There's a back side, by the way. I think the rest of them were pretty self-explanatory. Gotta work on that. I'm gonna come get the syllabus contracts. I think you already gave it to me. Yeah, I got it.
Do we have to draw?
Just where it says draw a picture. I didn't point this out, but on the calendar you may have noticed it says not just discussion post 1, but discussion post 0 and 1, and quiz 0. Because I try to have the readings line up number-wise with the quiz, at least for a while, so that I could have week 1, quiz 1 over week 1 readings, and discussion post 1 over week 1 readings. And the 0 is just for the quiz over the syllabus. And discussion post 0 is where you're introducing yourself to fellow classmates. So there are 2 discussion posts due this weekend, but that's the only weekend that happens all the way until the very end. Yes.
When you say how to train your writing, you mean like writing style or?
Yeah, like your writing style or like your ability to communicate through words. Yeah. Brandon, did I get this?
I don't have a pen to
You don't have what?
I don't have a pen to print that.
Oh. I don't know if it works, but here's one. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention. Yeah, if you're done, you can give that to me and you can go. If you need more time with it, you're welcome to take that with you and just turn it in next time. I don't expect everybody to have to get finished today because it is time for the class to end, so y'all might as well, if you're not done, just take it with you. Thank you, sir. If you do have it done, go ahead and bring it up here to me and see y'all next time. Have a great day.